Zach, welcome to the podcast. How you been?
Yeah, good, Patrick. Yourself?
It's been going pretty good. I really enjoyed our conversation. Time's been flying for me, so to me it seems like about a year ago, but it might have been a little longer.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
We were talking about Powerstroke engines and what you guys do at J&K Engines to build them. But for people who didn't catch our other episode, give us a bit of a history of yourself, what you do at J&K, and then what the company focuses on for engine build.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Zach Wolf. I do the operations at J&K. Basically, handle all incoming and outgoing builds when they come from the sales department down to me. We also do some installations at our shop as well, so manage trucks in and out there. We've been in business about 15 years now. We do all four power stroke only, so everything from your 7.3 to your 6.7s, everything from a 95 to 23s, 24 model trucks. So hadn't seen too many engines on the 23, 24 yet, but I know it comes eventually with time. So we remanufacture long blocks, ultimately make a better product from factory. So do the revisions for every year that's needed, 6.0s, the 6.4s, 7.3s. So studs on the 6 liters, of course. We even offer them do them in the 6.4s now as well. And then 7.3s, we upgrade those with sleeves in every cylinder because they're bad about pinholes. And we do injector cups on those in our heads as well. So basically trying to make the product best and most reliable that it can be for the consumer.
Is there, as you go, and when I think of like a 7.3 or even a 6 liter, it's just amazing how much time's flown by since they were brand new. But are there constant like R&D research, like things that you guys do as time goes on to say, hey, can we address this issue, say on a 6 liter, on a 7.3 better with this new technology or something else that we learned? How does the evolution of building an engine for an older truck like progress as you guys are learning more and expanding and and just attacking these OEM issues
For
in more
sure.
detail?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, R&D is constantly going on. We talk to shops on the daily, just about roughly, and we're constantly trying to improve our product in every way possible. And absolutely, as time goes on, I still think guys are trying to perfect even the 7.3 in ways, um, because now what we see more of in the 7.3s is the guys that are wanting to rebuild them because usually that truck, being it's been, anywhere from 25 to 30 years, it holds a sentimental value to them. So when they're rebuilding these things, they're wanting to do the coated internals, the springs, anything and everything possible while they're in there. So for us on that end is to try and build the best product available. So yeah, so it even goes back to putting the sleeves in it. I mean, that's not something we started all out doing, but something we learned as time went on to try to fix any and every issue that was stemmed from factory to now, and on top of just factory stuff, just the longevity of the engine and the miles that are put on them.
There's been a huge resurgence too in older trucks for quite a while. I hear about the 7.3 a lot
Yeah.
from a lot of different guests, or even we got an email the other day from someone, and they had a newer 6.7 Power Stroke, but they wanted to get something simpler. They weren't towing like extreme weight, but they would do some towing. I think they wanted the simplicity, and that's where they looked back towards, was how do I find a truck and what should I be
Yeah.
prepared for, and those kind of things. So I know that engine is known for being just a workhorse, and if you take care of it,
Right.
it's going forever. But to have options, if you're going to be in there, why not tackle it all at once? And I was thinking that would probably be a question maybe somebody would have too, is if they are in that position where they need to do some engine work, and I guess this could apply to all of them and be different maybe for all of them, but like
Right.
what's some general advice you would give somebody if they're going to be doing some sort of engine upgrade, or they're going to be thinking about it, that they should invest a little bit of money into? You can
Right.
save in some areas but invest in others. What would you say is
Right.
some good guidance for them?
Well, it's a good question. I think when it comes to engines in particular, And this is all engines, obviously we're Powerstroke specific, but in the whole of all engines, it's one of those things if you're gonna, you know, obviously that's a big chunk of everything, right? Like when you have to rebuild your engine, that's probably your biggest cost in the whole process. And it's also the deepest you have to go. So, if you're thinking about the cam or you're thinking about the studs or you're thinking about the springs, go ahead and do it. Like you're in there, do everything that you want to do to that engine. And there's so many, you know, different options available and continue to be more options every day, even for the 6.0s and the 7.3s, to make them better on the, even aftermarket support and all those things that do pertain to the engine. So that being said, when it comes to engine, I would almost say spare no expense. Do what you feel you want to do, and go ahead and get it done because you can always change a turbo rather quickly. You can always even put a set of injectors. You can mess with tuning if that's what you want to do. You can do all those things, but getting back into the heart of the engine, you don't want to do that more than one time if if you don't have to.
Has there been any products, this could pertain to any of the Powerstroke gear ranges, either new products or new things you guys are doing that has you really excited from an engine perspective, like whether it's a new material, um, a new approach to something? Is there something that we should really pay attention to as enthusiasts and incorporate that either into our build or ask questions about it or focus in on?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, when it comes to technology, I mean, maybe they've more perfected what's kind of already been out when it comes to internal engine stuff. Now, I definitely think there's some external components that go on the engine that are probably still exciting that they're bringing to the table every day. But just for an internal standpoint, I mean, they probably progress when it's come to coatings and things like that. When I excitement's hard. We've been doing it for so long that sometimes it becomes monotonous. But yeah, I mean, our excitement comes from definitely the coatings, and they have 6.7s have billet main caps out. They have, I think they're even got a girdle kit at this point. So those things are exciting because it's kind of there. You can see that the diesel industry as a whole is trying to continue to move forward step by step and make these things, being able truthfully to turn them into something that can hold some power to them, whether it be race or sled pulling or whatever it might be.
Hey, Diesel fans, we wanted to let you know that our friends over at Kershaw Knives have a 20% off your entire cart discount code for you. If you go to kershaw.kaiusa.com, use code TDP2520, get you 20% off your entire order. They got a bunch of different choices for blade steel, blade shape, different handle designs, different opening mechanisms. So if you're in the market for a new knife for EDC or hunting, fishing, around the job site, around the house, they've got you covered with a bunch of different choices designed to meet any budget. We really appreciate them offering that discount code just for you guys. So if you're in the market, head on over to kershaw.kaiusa.com and use code TDP2520 and get 20% off your entire cart. I think one of the cool things that I bet you guys come across is focusing in on Powerstrokes. You guys have been in business for a long time. Is you probably get a lot of cool projects or people who reach out and say, "Hey, I've had this idea for a long time. I think I'm ready to do it. Can you guys help me?" What are some
Hmm.
cool what are some cool the projects or builds that you guys have worked on or are going to work on when it comes
Right.
to Powerstrokes?
Yeah, for sure. So we've actually, it's kind of funny you say that. We've kind of got like three in the works that are kind of going all at the same time in a way. I'll start, we just finished up a 7.3 long block for a gentleman who has an OBS that has a full 6.7 Super Duty swapped interior. It's actually been on TikTok quite often. I don't know the handle by chance. I'm not a big TikTok guy, but my guys in the shop show me. But he's got a pretty good following on this. There's a gentleman who swapped almost all the 6.7 interior, and it's completely full functioning from the gauges to almost every single component inside there.
Wow.
So we were able to build a long block for that customer in the engine and supply him with a irate diesel fuel system and Hydra and full force injectors, and I believe even a KC turbo on that as well. So that was pretty awesome. That was out. Of course, we're not doing the install on that, but we just finished up a gentleman who He's actually going to be running and has already ran on the ODSS circuit in the 770 class. And his project's really unique because in 2018 he had it at a shop, and the guy basically stole him of all his stuff, which, as crazy as it is to say, it's the stuff that we do hear about quite often. Where a shop gets into something and doesn't finish the project, and we don't really shy away from things like that. It's kind of a new challenge. So this guy had everything from the PCM completely missing to the Fass hanging on the ground to his engine that he had already purchased from another supplier torn apart. So we took that. I mean, the whole truck was in, if it was missing or not there, I mean, it was everything. And we took all that, put it all back together, put a SoCal billet compound kit on it, aluminum heads, the whole nine, and have gotten that project all put back together. And like I said, he's been running it on the ODSS circuit. So that's been a 4 or 5 year project now. So that one was pretty, cool. And then we just most recently also did a build that's been on YouTube and things like that for Powerstroke Central and Josh over there in PSC Automotive. And so that that project, we just finished the engine on it, and we're actually going to fly out the team to Arizona next week to get a seat put on the dyno and stuff like that at KC. So
That's really cool. I want to ask you about the second project you talked about. So I have some friends who are shop owners, and sometimes we're talking and just like like trading war stories and stuff, and
oh yeah,
they'll tell me about like somebody who contacts them, and it's a very similar situation, and their perspective is, man, I can't jump into that. Like
right,
there's so many different hands have been on it. It's missing parts. Sometimes I hear from people like that, like on email or DMs and stuff, and they're looking for a place to fix it. And I personally feel really bad when I hear that because I know how personal trucks can be to people,
yep.
and sometimes they share those stories. So what's the approach at J&K when you do get someone who reaches out and they're at that point where their truck has been in pieces for years and it's probably picked up on a flatbed with boxes in the bed and in the cab of all these parts? I'm sure there's a lot of emotion with, the customer where they're frustrated, they're tired, they're worried, and then you're jumping into, you probably don't even really know everything a shop
Right.
or a series of shops have done. How do you approach that?
um, you know, just personal. It's definitely difficult. I think for me, I like to get the full backstory. And we analyze the situation, and also trying to understand how much is a customer willing to do since he's already done, X, Y, and Z. Is he willing to continue this road? Because that the reality is, unfortunately, they're probably going to wind up spending as much, if not more, than they already have spent. That's because we're at that point of it already being torn apart, and putting it back together, as everyone knows, I mean, especially in the 6.0 thing, I mean, you're talking anywhere from 25 to 35 hours, depending on what's going on. So, like, um, for me, I just analyze the situation, try to be as communicative as possible with the customer, and try to make them, not necessarily feel good, but letting them know this is a job that we can take on and take care of. And yeah, I mean, from a business standpoint, it's always a risk. Just because you don't know what you're getting into. You have no idea until you get to the point. And so I can understand from other shop standpoints, especially in just the repair type of this business, where, taking on a project like that when you have 40 other trucks or 30 or 40 trucks sitting in your lot, it isn't feasible. And sometimes it's easier just to say no than it is to say yeah and take it on. And it can be that, sometimes it is harder on the shop, even though they are doing something good to actually, it to seem that way at the end of the day.
Is the key setting the expectation?
Yes, for sure. I think the expectation is everything up front with the customer and figuring out exactly, what they're willing to do on top of what they've already done to continue moving it forward. I think that's definitely is getting that standard set up front. and not trying to just say, yes, we can do it, and then calling back and saying, oh, well, it needs all of these things, instead going up front and being like, hey, we're going to have to do all these things. And then if there's something that doesn't need to be done, we can pull it off then. But let's plan that it's all got to be done. So,
Would you say that that's the hardest project to do in your guys' line of work is when you jump in halfway or a quarter of the way into something that someone else already started?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think I can probably speak for all shops that that is definitely the hardest thing to do is to follow up someone else's work. You know, and then there's a pride about it of, you know, for me, I take a big pride in not necessarily pointing the finger at, well, this guy did it. I just try to make it better and fix it, you know, and continue to move forward. But absolutely, I think that that's the hardest thing, and kind of in any job profession is having to follow up to what somebody else has done, especially if they didn't do it to um, you know, the standard, the correct standard, or go above and beyond. And then unfortunately, I feel like in this diesel industry, um, it's way more common than it needs to be.
Is that a? I'm glad you brought that up because I think, you know, part of it is what we see on social media or on YouTube and through video. There's been a ton of progress with parts, with power numbers, where I think if you're not a real long-time diesel enthusiast, but you're just new to it or relatively new, it seems so streamlined and it seems so almost cookie cutter. These horsepower recipes, these build recipes, it should just
Right.
work like clockwork.
Right.
And I think maybe that's part of the issue too, with from a consumer or truck owner perspective, is when it doesn't go smoothly. You're like, well, I've watched hundreds of videos on Instagram or TikTok, and they all seem like they went smooth. Or I follow this
Right.
channel and everything went great. Would you say that it's more common than we know where those issues can arise, like industry wide, not specifically with people, but just like as an
Yeah.
industry?
Yeah, definitely as an industry. You know, and what you see, as we all know, and sometimes we forget, is TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook is a snippet of what's really going on, right? So like they're not gonna, you know, there are a few shops out there, a few, you know, influencers out there, they're willing to show you the ugly and the bad too. Not just the good, you know, and in hindsight and what we're doing and the fact that a lot of it is remanufacturing parts and aftermarket parts and parts coming from all over the world. It's not always that straightforward. As there's definitely issues that arise because they're getting manufactured by everyone, and humans make mistakes. So heck, even machinery makes mistakes. So that being said, it definitely is extremely common for it not to go like the brochure tells you it should.
Does that get more complex with the performance side? Because I know you guys do performance. You mentioned doing a
Right.
build for 770 ODSS. I'm sure there's other customers you guys have, but is that performance side, is that growing? Or are you guys getting more involved with that? What's that side like?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I definitely think that people, the industry for us at least, has tend to definitely go in that route. I think it kind of reverts back to our a little bit earlier in this conversation about, you know, people getting into that engine and just wanting to go ahead and put the coated parts and do that. The hope, you know, in their right mind, and which is correct, is that on the backside of that they can put the power to it and they can do the racing stuff. So I do think we've seen an uptick for sure in the, and especially the 6.4 and 7.3s, with the Coda internal, the balance, basically the stage stream motor. And even the plus motor where they'll go and step it up to putting the connecting rods in it, whether it be Callies or Wacklers, to taking that next step. So yeah, I mean, I think too with the, you know, change of you know, political stuff, that it's made this like race scene almost kind of start coming back a little more again, and people willing to kind of put the money into the engine and build some power and not fear of, you know, getting themselves shut down, or, you know, all the things that came the past, you know, 5 6 years ago. So
I think racing too, like UCC and other events around the country. I see more Powerstrokes doing it. I see more six
yeah.
liters. I see more more people really pushing the limits and reaching new heights with it, that it
Right.
lays a foundation where if you got a truck, you want to spend some money on it, have some fun,
For sure.
that's an avenue now. It's not just like come and swap it, come and
And it
swap
becomes
everything.
more and it becomes more affordable too as
Yeah.
time's passing on, it seems.
I think that's one of the real, I can't say that it's overlooked, but just one of the really great stories, if I was to think back over 5 or 10 years, is the evolution of Powerstroke in general, and how on the performance side it's taken such leaps and bounds. And it really can be a good platform to get into if that's what you want to do. And maybe it's kind of a street truck, more of a hybrid sort of setup. But there's so many great parts, whether it's turbo injectors, hard parts like you mentioned, coatings, how you guys
Yeah.
build them, put them together, engineer the whole package for them. There's options for Power Stroke enthusiasts.
Yeah, and their customer support on all those components, be it our shop, be it uh, KC turbos, be it holders who we use their injectors a lot, full force, Warren, all the guys that we deal with on a daily, the customer support is phenomenal, and these guys want to push the power stroke limit. They want to see it succeed, and that's cool, it's good, and I think that's a lot of it is always being told that it can't do it, and then them showing you, well, yeah, hold my drink, it can, and that's kind of and they're continuing to grow on that. Guys are continuing to change their formula a little bit to try to make it better and make it even better and better and better, and it has. It's continued to rise, and with continued rises, it makes, in my opinion, makes the parts more affordable as far as that aftermarket support, injectors, turbos, all those things that you need, cold air intakes, whatever it might be, and so then when it is affordable, consumers are going to buy it a whole lot more. So
Are you guys seeing an uptick in the 6.7 stuff? Whether it's performance builds or maybe some trucks that have some miles, some years on them, maybe some OEM issues that are popping up that you guys are addressing through the builds?
yeah, definitely so. We also have seen there's been a lot of this thing going around now where you can still steel piston swap the engines into your older body style trucks. So I think that's also helped kind of push that guy to the next limit of getting a better product to go back into his older, 6.7. So yeah, I mean the uptick is definitely there. They're starting to trend up, but it's still for us. I mean, the numbers clear as day, but the 6 liter still just powers all over. I mean sometimes it's 6 to 1, versus everything else in what we're building on a daily is 6 up, tried, true. Just I think guys, like I said, it hold a sentimental value to them. They love the truck. They usually love the way it runs. It does everything they need to do. It's got the right power limit. They can put their fleet guys in it, not really worried about wrecking a 50, $60,000 pickup and get everything they need out of it, towing wise and all that for, you know, I mean, straight through, you can usually get one installed for anywhere from 15 to 20, but depending on what's going on, it definitely beats going out to buy a new truck that you don't know could still have issues, right? So,
Yeah. Sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I'm on Marketplace and I'm looking at trucks and stuff and I see things. And it was actually kind of recent. And I saw this 6 liter and it didn't have many miles on it, but I guess because I'm like older, but just been around this for a long time, like in the back of my mind, I still think of like the early days of 6 liters
right.
and some of the issues that they would face and have. And I guess my question would be, because this was like a really nice truck and I thought it'd be fun and it was like, it wasn't too expensive. I wasn't, you know, it's not like a new one where you're spending so much money. I'd rather like invest in upgrades. Can it be reliable? Like, can I get a 6 liter and in 2025, are there parts and methods to be able to, make more than stock power, have a little bit of fun with it? Not talking race truck, but more just on the
Right.
street, and have it be reliable in your opinion?
Yeah, for sure. I do. Obviously, I always check to make sure it's been studded. Probably 90% of them, it feels like at this point, have already had that type of work done to it. Paperwork is always key for me in anything I buy, making sure that it lines up with what work's already been done. But it absolutely can be reliable. it's tried and true, and there's definitely tune options that can give you a little power and still, keep the not too much stress on the motor in any way. But yeah, I mean that's absolutely doable. Your biggest thing, just like a marketplace, is finding a reputable source, or just make sure you're doing your research before you just purchase because the price might be good.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think like the next thing I wanted to ask you, it's something this year that on the manufacturing side and how it relates to a truck owner is important as well, is with tariffs and things that have been going on. And like I never really paid that much attention to where material came from, which country it originated
Yeah.
from, how it got to the US, where it was machined and made. But through this year and lots of conversations with companies and just kind of following the market, in some ways it's been very volatile and unknown. And I think as a truck owner, we might we're getting little bits of information from the news or something that we read, and we might say, well, I'm going to hold off till the winter time to do my build, or I'm going to hold off till next year to do this engine. From your guys' side, which I'm sure there's tons of the supply chain you guys work with, whether it's OEM parts, whether it's aftermarket, whether it's raw material that's going to be machined, made into something. Does that affect the pricing? Does it affect what someone would pay like today versus next year? How does it impact what we're going to spend on an engine or heads or whatever component might be related to a Powerstroke engine?
Yeah. For us, it's been, really until the first 6 months of this year, we kind of same boat. Nobody's really talking about it. People are saying it's gonna happen. It didn't directly affect us, for the first 6 months of this year. But and you go with that. So, but then here come 1st of July, and we had a lot of price hikes on the OE side of things. Just when it comes to front covers, oil coolers, if you're getting stock injectors from Ford, turbos, it didn't matter. It seems like a ton of those components raised like, you know, 40, 50% to us. And, we try our best, to stay stay within that market to not be extend too far, but to be able to help a customer out when he purchases an engine, to be able to add those components and save him some money, hopefully. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, to wait is probably not the right answer because I don't know if it's going to get, nobody knows if it's going to get any better. I highly doubt that the price is going to just decrease off the, next month. It's probably going to steady increase, hopefully not as much. But yeah, it definitely seems like it's what's been talked about in some aspects, especially on the OE for a fact. It's definitely starting to trend upward. We've seen that aftermarket and what we do trend a little bit, but but here recently, for us, it just is in our shop and the supplier we use, it definitely was kind of like a gut punch there for a minute, and they don't really tell you it's coming. They don't even have the answers. It goes far beyond just your local Ford dealership, and so yeah, I mean, I don't know if, like I said, if you're in the realm to need a new engine, and you have blow by, you have oil consumption, you have your coolant loss, whatever those are, and it seems to be internal. And you're going to do it, then you need to go ahead and do it. Don't let it prolong. Plus, you also run the risk of causing damage to other components that you might not need to replace right now. That if you drop something like that, you will.
Hey, diesel fans, I wanted to chat with you about diesel fuel. It's something we've talked about a lot on the podcast, and specifically ways that it can lead to a lot of costly repairs. And the main reason that we have these issues is a lack of lubricity. Our friends over at Hot Shot Secrets have developed a formula that boosts performance and then addresses this issue. So whether you have an old truck, new one, something anywhere in between, we all face this issue. Hot Shots EDT is a 6-in-1 formula. It cleans injectors, boosts cetane, and it has 4 times the lubricity as our leading competitor. So it's a great way to be able to stay ahead of the maintenance curve, avoid those costly repairs, and the best part is it does the work for you. So all you do is add it to your regular fuel up schedule, and it's doing all the heavy lifting. So you don't have to worry about some of those issues that just come with diesel fuel anytime we buy it from the pump. If you go to hotshotsecret.com, use code DieselPod20. It'll get you 20% off your order. We really appreciate the team and our friends over at Hot Shot Secret offering this discount code just for you guys. So if you're in the market, head on over to their website, use code DieselPod20, and get 20% off your order. And I imagine in an engine build, there's lots of OEM components that are going to be used where there is maybe not even an aftermarket option, and it may not be better. So there's going to be OEM Ford components that are just going to be replaced. And think of how massive a company like Ford is and how it's international and how it's going to be subject to things like tariffs more so than maybe an aftermarket supplier that's getting the raw material in the United States, is manufacturing in the United States, and it's not affecting it as much.
Yeah.
With like as you look out towards, I mean, this year, like kind of into next year, what do you think are going to be, or what are you looking forward to for some cool things? Maybe it's the racing side, maybe it's a build, maybe it's a power number, maybe one of your customers is trying to hit. What are some things that are exciting you about the future of Powerstrokes and building engines for them?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely, obviously, the race thing has been pretty cool to dive into a little bit. With anything, there's risk with that, but we feel we build a solid, reliable engine, and that we can build something for a race application that will hold and hold for the longevity of a race season. And I look forward to continuing that. I like to continue to grow, even if it's a little bit, and not making these outreaches. So I'm looking forward to just evolving. We've also talked about other, maybe stretching onto other platforms as far as engine building goes, and widen that spectrum. Like I said, 15 years of building a Power Stroke, we perfected our engine building. And so now it's like, okay, what are the next steps for us? We're starting to kind of get into, we've done podcasts with you, and that's been great. And now we've been doing some YouTube shorts and YouTube videos and TikTok stuff, and going to probably continue that. So looking forward to having another way to reach the consumers. So just looking forward. We're trying just different avenues on the marketing side of stuff, and just in the engine building alone. And so it's going to be fun here, J&K, in the next 6 months to a year. So I'm excited.
When we get into the engine side, like somebody needs an engine, do you guys have them like built ready to go? Is there a lead time? How does the logistical side work of getting a long block or short block?
Yeah. So for us, we're a lot of times build to order, so we don't necessarily all. There are times we might have a short block or something on the shelf on occasion, but we usually stay about 2 to 6 weeks out right now. And a lot of that is all the inventory is here ready to be assembled, pre-machined, all that good stuff. So usually we can turn it around rather quickly, but we leave it like that so that the guys can choose any option they want. We just make sure we have our inventory ready to go, whether it be a 6.0, 6.4, 7.3. We even offer the 4.5 V6s we've talked about, which is a V6 version of a 6 liter. So yeah, the logistics is we just try to stay ahead of the game with our inventory and all that, and those. And that also helps us be able to keep the customers the price to the consumer down when the inventory has already been purchased prior to the increase in prices.
When it comes to an engine build, do you guys have them set up, say, kind of like, I don't want to say stages, because stages doesn't really tell a whole lot, but like, are they in packages that are already set up where somebody could say, well, this is for a bone stock truck, this is for something at this power level, this is for something at a higher power level? Or do you guys talk one-on-one with people and say, okay, what are you doing with it? These are the different components you're going to need. How does it work once we get into different options?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we pride ourselves high on being on answering the phone and being able to talk to the customer one on one and answer those questions and ask those questions of what they're going to do with trucks. So we kind of option that two ways. Obviously, if you go to our website, you're going to have options for stage one, two, and three. In the list, kind of will tell itself. And then if you call in, you're going to get the same type of stage one, two, and three, which we can call stages. But you're going to also get that person on the other end of the line, whether it be Anthony, Jack, or John, that are going to also figure out what you do with your truck, how you use it, what might be needed and might not be needed, to make the best package possible for your application.
So you can get an engine and it might have, say, what you would need like in a stage two, but maybe I need a little bit more, maybe I need a little bit less. You can almost kind of customize them a little bit based on what your specific application is going to require.
Yes, for sure. And then we also offer the air and fuel support on top of that too. So we can ultimately send you out a package that can be good for a stock product or stock engine that, guys don't plan to tune. They're just going to put it back how it was originally out of the factory, and great. And then we have options we can pair with you where you're going to put it on the ODSS series, or you're going to race it, or you're going to, pull heavy, or any of those sled pull, whatever it might be on that side too. And then we have your middle range where kind of the best of both worlds.
So on the air and fuel, so people can get like turbos, injectors, things like that
Correct.
with their engine build. Do you
Yes.
guys do you just ship them like in the crate with the engine, or do you guys install them on the engine as well?
So we will ship them in the crate with the engine, or we will drop ship them and they'll be at your house usually at the same time, if not before the engine arrives.
Okay, so they can basically line everything up all
Yeah,
together.
we can ultimately ship you an borderline your sheet metal components. We can ship you everything you need, whether it come from our facility or drop ship from a reputable supplier straight to your front door. And like I said, usually it'll either come packaged with your engine or it will come separate of that. But we try to make sure everything's set up to arrive, waiting on anything. It's there when it's there. And, that's a lot of times because your installer stays so far booked out that, you don't want to have to send the engine and then the other components are coming, because sometimes there's a communication gap between the installer and the customer and what's being ordered. Some, you know what I mean? Just depending. So you want to make sure everything's there for whoever's going to put that motor in at the time.
Do with people ordering engines, do you guys work with shops too? Like if somebody has a diesel shop and they're getting a consistent number of people throughout the year that need a 6 liter 7.3, 6.4, 6.7. Do you guys work with them as well, or do you guys focus more in on the truck owner and working with them and getting them the shorter long block that they need, and then they handle the install part?
No, we definitely deal with diesel shops too as a whole. We have quite a few that buy their four Powerstroke motors from us, and then we have the individual as well. So we don't we'll take it either way. In the end of the day, we definitely like to have the shops that buy from us, or we can trust to install these motors properly and do those things. But we'll also sell to the individual who's going to do his own installation and things and treat them just as good.
And people can order these like anywhere in the country, so they don't have to be local to Tennessee or go to you
Right.
guys. You can load it on a pallet, ship it out in a
Yeah,
crate. They send the core back afterwards.
for sure. Yeah, we've been to Australia. I know recently, Hawaii quite a few times. Gone to Alaska. We'll ship anywhere we can get the freight truck to get it there. And a lot of times the out of state stuff, we'll get it to the border, and then it's up to the customer to kind of transition it from that point. But yeah, we definitely will. I mean, and guys do it. So
Yeah, it could be tough depending on the location to be able to find a reputable place to build something as important as an engine.
right.
And I think I think being able to take like this quality and the focus you've talked to me about today and you did before on our other episode, and just be able to get it, whether they're across the country, maybe they're in Canada or like you mentioned Australia, or other places in the world. You might not have somebody local to you that has this sort of expertise, probably don't, and you can be able to source it. And I love how you can get the air and fuel package too, because I would love to just take it to my shop and what I need for air, fuel, and the engines all together, and
Right.
I don't have to source it separately. It's just I don't know. I would just love to streamline it if I was doing a doing an engine build.
Yeah, we try to be as one-stop shop as possible for gentlemen, and then you have the guys that do want to figure out every penny they can save, and that's okay too. Like we're not gonna, you know, change anything just for the fact that you want to save $10 because your installer gets a better price. Like, cool. Our prices are there to help you if that's what you want. Make it all an easy package for you. But they're if you can get it cheaper on your own and same quality of product, and that's okay too with us.
Is the warranty what's the warranty on shorter long blocks, and then does it vary at all if it is more of a performance or race application, or is it the same for every type of engine?
So that's a good question. So it's 1 year unlimited miles for everything. Now the performance package stuff, we talk more of a customer basis and kind of understand what they're doing, who they're using. We might now in that situation recommend they use our type of products or our recommendation more. And then like I said, that's always the tough I think across the whole every engine builder and platform is when you do get into power, things are going to break. And so the warranty definitely gets a little, I would say, tighter almost, but more the fact that the communication's just stiffer. At the end of the day, if we make a mechanical issue on our end and it's proven to be in the bottom end, it has nothing to do with the power you put on there. J&K is going to take care of it. We just make sure that we try to be as understanding that customer and what he's doing with his truck to the best of our ability, so that if there is a warranty situation, we can help to make it as quick and get that customer back on the road as possible.
I think that's fair, especially if you're cranking out 16, 17, 1800 horsepower and
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
racing it season after season. And
Yes, absolutely, and that's always a great, kind of a fine line for all of us as engine builders because we want to provide you with an engine that can do that, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, there's, the more we build it capable of the power, the more the cost goes up, and the more that's involved, and the more that there's just more material, more everything. So, I wouldn't necessarily say there's zero warranty, but there, like I said, goes back to there's definitely a line of open line of communication between us and that diesel shop or us and that customer. And narrowing down for us, it's really narrowing down what happened to the motor. Is it J&K something we could have done to prevent that, or is it customer cost it situation? So
I think that's good. Like whenever I hear any business say there's like zero warranty or zero comebacks, I feel like I'm being lied to because I don't.
uh,
I mean, iPhones have warranties. I'm sure.
right,
I'm sure
right,
satellites
yeah.
and rockets and different things like that have warranties. So I like the honesty part. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just like when you talk to a customer, or you're asking about the sales and having the different stages, and do we talk? It's the same thing when it comes to warranty. We try to have that one-on-one communication with the customer and the shop, and work together to get some. Nobody wants warranties. Nobody likes warranties, but we're building engines that were prone to break, and we are also building engines that guys are prone to put power on. So I mean, like there's all that understanding. And so when there is a warranty situation, we just try to, we try to talk to them physically and get everything lined out, streamlined so that the customer understands what's going to happen in the steps moving forward.
Yeah, well, that's what I want, just communication. There's a process in place to handle it. Like I don't go into something and expect it never to break, never to have an issue. I just like to know that there's a process in place,
Yes.
and that gives me the comfort to proceed with a purchase and a build. I'm sure that there's people that have questions about J&K, different engine builds that you guys have. Maybe they fall in between a couple of different setups that you guys have, and they have questions. What's the best way to contact you guys and be able to ask those and line up their short or long block? Or maybe they're just curious. Maybe I didn't ask you something. They've had a build in the back of their mind. They're not ready to buy yet, but they're going to be. Or maybe they heard the part about tariffs, price increases on OEM parts. They're like, man, I need to get on this now. I don't want to wait. What's the best way?
Yeah. So you can always reach us at 615-758-7749 by phone. By email, you can visit our website at J&K Engine Remanufacturing.com, or you can via email you can reach Anthony at J the letter N K Engines.com, or we also have J the letter N K Engines at gmail.com. So any form of that, we can get right back directly to you. I believe even on the website there is a contact us tab that you can push down, and it goes right to one of those two emails. We'll be able to get right back to you. We try to call back every single inquirer we have and talk to them directly. We really try to be somebody that when they call in, they get someone on the other end of that line, and a human at that they can talk with. And that's a lot of this business. When you're spending that kind of money, you don't necessarily want to talk to a bot or not have a way to contact that person via phone, because email can be tough to communicate on exactly feelings and what you're trying to
Yeah.
achieve.
Plus, you guys are on Instagram and other social media. I saw some really
Right.
cool pictures you guys had on Instagram the other day of an engine build. I'm like, man, that's a really good picture. That captures this build really cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we just moved in a new shop in October, so we're working on expanding, working on doing the things to keep up with the workload coming in. And Anthony's done a really good job. He handles that part of the social media marketing, and he's done well on the Facebook and Instagram. And so, but what you see on the pictures is exactly what's going on in here. So we try to keep it as clean, and we've had a lot of shops come and visit us. They can say the same. So you know J&K's moving forward, that's for sure.
Well, it's cool to chat with you today again, Zach. I appreciate what you did on the other episode. We went through, I think, every Powerstroke in it: 7.3, 6.0,
We
6.4,
did.
6.7. Weak points in them. And if people want to check that out, definitely, head back. But I appreciate, in 2025, kind of catching up with you, talking about what's new, different options that you guys have. Look forward to seeing the future and some more content you guys are making for videos and things on social media, new stuff you're getting into. So appreciate the time.
Yeah, Patrick, thanks for having me.
Don't forget, Diesel fans, make sure and head on over to Kershaw.kaiusa.com. Use code TDP2520 to get 20% off your entire cart. If you're in the market for a new knife for hunting, fishing, EDC, something around the job site, around the house, they got you covered with a bunch of different choices for blade steel, blade shape, handle design, different opening mechanisms, and their whole lineup's designed to meet any budget that you might have. We really appreciate them offering that discount code just for Diesel Podcast listeners. So again, if you're in the market, head on over to Kershaw.kaiusa.com. Use code TDP2520 and get 20% off your order. Also want to give a shout out to some of our Patreon supporters: Tyler Lowen at 23 Diesel, Robert, Cutter Up Rob, all of our other Patreon supporters, all of you who subscribe on YouTube and podcast apps. Follow us on social media. We appreciate all your support here in year 9 of the Diesel Podcast and look forward to bringing you more of the content that you want to hear in 2025. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.